Hi guys, today I'm doing a video comparing the Logitech G920 racing steering wheel with the Logitech G923. Details are in the description below for both these wheels, so do check it out. Big thank you to Logitech for sponsoring this video and sponsoring a massive giveaway we're doing where you can win one of these wheels. Details for that will be later on in the video, so do hang around for that. So the G923 is the latest wheel from Logitech. It features their True Force, which give you more of a realistic feel on the whole driving experience. Their previous variation didn't have that sort of functionality in there. So we'll be comparing both the wheels, seeing the key differences between the two and seeing if it really makes much of a difference. So there's two variants of this wheel. The one we have here is the Xbox version. I've already done a comparison with the PlayStation versions, so check it out in the corner. That will be the G29 and the G923. And hopefully it will give you an idea if it's actually worth the extra spend to get this latest model. Now coming in close on both the wheels, you can see initially the center marker on both of them, it's still there. The newer one is blue and the older one was silver. Leather finish all the way around on the wheels, all still round except at the bottom, still has the same effect on there, so it's straightened off at the bottom. Xbox controls are still there, obviously you've got the navigation there and the same Xbox icons as well. Still in color, you've got the G logo at the middle, but the G logo on the new one is bigger. Other buttons are here as well, you can see at the side, but surprisingly enough, they've put the 24-point selector on the newer version and controls here as well. So that's missing on the older versions. You've got the LED indicator and the Xbox connection button there. And you'd press that button to get it paired up with your Xbox. The metal area on the wheel, just holding the whole wheel together, that's still aluminium, but it has a darker finish on the newer version. The older wheel didn't have a rev counter on the top here, but the newer one does, and that just a number of LEDs that light up as you're going higher and higher up the revs. The paddle shifts still feel similar, so a steel finish on them, but the color's different on them. So on the newer one, you've got a black finish, and on the older one, you've got a silver finish. Sound wise, it still sounds very similar. I find that the newer one has a slightly lower pitch to it, where the older one has a slightly higher pitch. Having a view of the top, you can see they're identical. You've got the side vents just on either side, and you've got the same clamping mechanism on both the devices. Logos changed, so you just got the G on the new one, and the older one had Logitech G on there. Looking at the back, the center marker on both, you can see the screw point there, and then you've got grills at the back. The vents points are either end, they're identical, and there's a perforated area in the middle. You've also got the cable management points just below that, so identical at the back. Side view is the same on both of them. The only difference on the new one, you've got True Force written there, and same again for the opposite side, just True Force written on the newer one. Viewing both the wheels from underneath, you can see all the screw locations going across, and they're all identical where they are. Clamping points are the same as well. You've got the cable management point here, so you can just wrap your cable, any excess around there. Channeling's there for cable management as well. And you've got your bolt-on points for connecting it to a SIM frame. Again, in the same positions. Connectivity wise, you've got the shifter connection point. Cable comes out at the same location. Pedal locations is the same, and same with the power again. And even looking at the connectors, obviously it's got a USB connector on each one, and they still have this connection point. And if I pull that apart just to show what's there, and there you go, identical on this. So some people have said it's a break point in case you trip over the cable. The clamping mechanism on both is identical as well. So once you've got it locked in, you'd push it in, but if you want to release, you just wiggle it a little bit and it just pops up. Same again on there. And again, it's just turning just to get it opened up. The distance in clamping is still the same, so you get 3 centimeters here, and these plastic bits can be popped off too. So that's just a matter of taking the screwdriver, twisting, and it just comes away. And then you've got a 5 centimeter gap going down. You can see the design on here, the plastic crosses going across, that's just to strengthen it. That's identical too. And the plastic bits I've taken off, they're identical as well. So you've got a ridge going down, flip the side, you've got the crosses on there, and blank on the other side. And the way to know which way to put this back, the ridge on there goes at the end point. And looking at the grips at the bottom, they're the same too, with the same number of notches there. No rubber on there, it's all plasticky all the way around. I'm surprised they didn't want to change the design of this. I know some people have said on the older model it snapped. It's probably from turning it too much. Maybe a good design would have been if they actually made this metal. Now moving on to the pedals, you can see the molding of the plastic is identical on both of these. There's no change in that. The only difference really is the logo. So you just got the G on the new one and the old one has Logitech G on there. Both the connectors are identical as well. Pedals feel the same, so still nice and smooth on the accelerator. Brake, there's a slight change with the newer one. They've reduced the force you need for that. There was a lot of people complaining on the older one where the brake felt too hard to push down. So they've given a new improved spring behind the new brake. Clutch still feels the same. You've got tension obviously more on these two pedals, whereas the accelerator just smoothly goes down to give a more realistic feel. The underneath of the pedals is identical. You can see from the plastic molding all the way around, every aspect is identical. You've got the same points where you've got the rubber on there to stop it slipping on a wooden surface. Then even the bolt-on points for a sim frame, they're the same. You've got these round areas here just to strengthen the area. They've kept that the same as well. And also the carpet grippers there too. And for this, just pull this up and there you go. Screw locations as well. They're all in the same place. Rear view on the pedals, you can see they've got the same recess here. And even the pedal positions are identical on here, and the moldings around there the same, together with the screw hole points for each of the pedals. Now, if you're wondering about using a shifter with the wheel, their original Logitech driving force shifter also works with the newer wheel. The connector's exactly the same, so you can just connect this directly onto there. There's no new improved version of the shifter, which is a bit of a shame. If you're bringing out a new wheel with some enhancements, it would have been nice if they also brought out a newer shifter. Not the end of the world, but just personally, I would have thought it'd be nice to see an enhancement on this as well. But good for someone who's just going to be upgrading the wheel and they own the shifter, so they can still continue using that. And now for the giveaway. Logitech has kindly offered to give away one of their G923 racing wheels. So either one for the Xbox with the Logitech G935 headset, or one for the PlayStation with the Logitech G733 headset. To enter the giveaway, all you have to do is leave a positive comment on this video stating which wheel you want with the hashtag #KeepPlaying and hashtag #PlayAdvanced. The giveaway is open to UK mainland only and ends on 30th of April at 11:59 PM. One winner will be selected at random in May, so keep a lookout for a direct reply to your comment in May. All terms and conditions are in the description of the video, and good luck. Both the wheels are compatible with a PC, and I've set them both up side by side, so let's now connect them directly to my computer. Both go through a calibration stage, and there you have it in the G Hub software. Now initially, if we go to the G920 just to see the options available in there, and you can see the standard options available. So assignments here where you can reassign keys, do your own macros, etc. Then coming on to steering wheel, you've got a few options here, so operating range, sensitivity, and centering spring strength. And then finally coming over to the pedal sensitivity, you can see here you've got clutch, brake, accelerator, and you can combine pedals as well. Looking in settings, firmware details in there, and that's all you have available. Going on to the new wheel, similar thing again, assignments, you've got the same thing again. You can reassign some of the options on here, even record macros. Moving on to the steering wheel, you see the first few options are the same, and then below that you've got True Force. So that's the key difference between the two wheels. Has that additional functionality where it can apply the True Force settings from a game on here. So you can see at the moment, apply settings from game. And if I scroll down, you've got torque settings and audio effects. Moving on to the pedal sensitivity, and with this, it's the same as with the previous version. Looking in settings, there you go, just firmware version details there. So looking at both the wheels on a PC, options are literally identical, except for the newer wheel having the additional options for the True Force functionality on there.
Green light, go, go.
Let's begin with testing the G920 racing wheel.
Car on the right, clear on the right. Car on the right, clear on the right.
wheel feels nice and comfortable. You get a good amount of force feedback from it. The pedals add to the realism as the pressure on each one varies and does have a realistic feel to it. Gear shifting can be done via the shifter, as I've already mentioned, or you can flip over and use the paddle shifts. Both ways work well, and the method you go for really depends on your preference and if you wanted to spend extra money to get the shifter. The gaming experience is good, no doubt about that. Now let's take a look at the G923 racing wheel. As both the wheels are identical in design, the initial feel is the same due to the position of things like the buttons, etc. The pedal actions feel similar, with a subtle difference on the brake where they've changed the mechanism behind it. And again, it feels just how you'd expect in a real car. I like it. Gear shifting with the shifter is obviously the same, as we're just reusing the same product. Paddle shifting feels just as good with no major difference in experience there. Moving on to the wheel, feedback is very good, just like the previous version, but there's a subtle difference. I'm feeling a little bit more off the wheel, like the hum of the engine, the feel of the terrain as I'm driving along. A pretty cool experience, and again, very subtle, like when you're driving in a real car. It's quite good being able to flip between the two wheels to feel the subtle differences. So in summary, you've seen both the wheels side by side. It seems Logitech has stuck with the same design, thinking if it's not broke, don't fix it. There's some nice subtle changes, so nice to see the addition of a rev counter and the 24-point selector. I didn't really understand why it was never there in the first place on the G920. With the price, there's a difference. Obviously the G923 being the newer wheel is going to be more expensive, but it has come down in price since it's been released. Now if you were to choose between the two, it is a tough one, as the G920 is a good wheel, does perform well, and if you couldn't afford the newer wheel, I don't see any issue with buying the older one. And remember, not all games support True Force on the G923 wheel, but if you did have the money or were happy to wait to save more, I'd say go for the newer model, as all newer games coming out will have the added True Force support, and older games are having that functionality slowly added. So you're probably wondering, is True Force worth it? Well, it's very subtle, and in terms of feedback, you have to remember that this is what adds to the realism of the whole experience. So I'd say yes, it's definitely worth it. And on the other side of the argument, it really makes no sense buying a wheel that's going to be discontinued pretty soon. So it's a bit like buying an Xbox One X when the new consoles just come out. So there you go. I hope this video has helped anyone thinking of getting one of these wheels. Both of them are great wheels. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. Hang around for the end cards, as there'll be a playlist with more gaming related videos. Drop me a like, as it really does help the channel out. Good luck in the competition. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.